Hello and welcome to this bonus podcast where we will be talking about the brand new Disciples of Tzeentch, the Zangor Warflock, and the Lumineth Realm Lords Hurricane Vanguard.
Yeah. Both two spearheads that seem very complicated and almost like they have the potential to be really, really good, but you need to be a good player, so probably not beginner friendly.
Yeah. I mean, I think the armies in general are not beginner friendly armies. They are fairly niche and ones that you do need to be a pretty experienced player probably to get the most out of. We will be doing like our proper run through of these where we go through every unit and all the abilities and kind of give our ranking system, but obviously we feel like we need a few games with them first really to give a proper good try at that one. So we're just going to go through some parts, mainly kind of the battle traits, maybe a few units, and kind of give our first feelings of both those two armies. We have done a game with the Tzeentch.
Yep.
And we plan on doing one with the Lumineth as soon as we can basically get our hands on the models. But we're just going to have a little look through each of those.
Yeah, we'll just a quick overview. And just sort of talk about how we feel. Obviously, like I say, we've already kind of tipped our hand that there seem to be, as far as Spearhead goes, a pretty complex army, both of them, to be fair. But who knows, maybe you'll play it and it'll just work, and we'll see. I do really like the Tzeentch one. The Tzeentch one's really fun. Spoilers, I'm the one that played it.
Maybe not competitive, but fun.
Yes.
I mean, I'd say the first thing to talk about the Disciples of Tzeentch one is the fact that you only have 4 units and you only start off with 3 on the board. You get your 4th one in the second battle round. So not always a nerf that, because it means that unit's not tied up in any kind of pointless combat. And
It's within 1 inch of any battlefield edge. 6 away. But, interestingly enough, this Tzeentch one has a lot of abilities for you being the underdog. So if they're the underdog, they get +1 to charge. So you can essentially have a 5-inch charge, which...
That's really good whenever you put that unit down and you need it in combat.
Yeah, they are. Unfortunately, it's a weird one, because I was like, you get 3 and one of them's got brilliant movement, but you just don't want that unit in combat. And then you've got your big block of Zangor, which are the ones you want in combat. But you only get 1 big block.
Yeah.
So they're kind of doing one thing. As we established, as long as you can keep all of them alive and do it, they will put out a decent amount of damage.
I mean, would you, as the person who used them, would you have preferred 2 blocks of 5 instead of 1 block of 10?
Yeah, I think it's a tough one. Probably and probably not, because there's going to be some situations where you want the block of 10, so the block of 10 all get to go.
Yes. Whereas if you just move them around to 2 blocks of 5 in a block of 10, you are still having to wait for half of them to attack and then the other half.
There's some ability. The thing is, there's some abilities that would benefit having more of them on the board, and there's some that kind of don't. I think I need to play more.
Yeah. Nothing in this army is reinforced, which does make me always think that it could be a bit like the new Bone Reapers, where can't say that much longer. It'll be the second Bone Reapers, where if you have a bad start, lose a few, you're in a lot of trouble.
And it's very doable. Nothing in the army is super defensive. They have a really nice regiment ability where if you're the underdog, everything board wide gets -1 to rend,
which is just crazy.
But you have to be the underdog.
And your saves are typically only a 5 anyway. You got a few 4s?
So the stuff on discs save on a 4.
Okay.
And the Zangor save on a 5. Nothing has a ward.
No, none of them are the demon units.
Yeah. You mean none of the weird purple guys with spaggy horns everywhere are demons?
Yeah, it just looks like an ordinary person.
You can see why. And I don't think they have an ability to give them wards either. So, yeah, not a defensive army. They're also a weird one where I think they might be better on Fire and Jade, because you've really got no good target for the bringing model back. You've not got a lot of units to fight, so you're only getting 4 points from that. You've also only got 4 units to die, so you're not getting a lot of points twist-wise. So I think they're probably just better on Fire and Jade for the fact it nerfs the other person.
Yeah, but although the thing I would question with that is your Zangors are then the only unit that you can bring back.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of models that would have to die for you to be able to do that. Is more likely your disc ones are going to die. And even just putting one of them somewhere in the hero phase, I think, is not bad. I do agree that fact that a lot of the cards on Sanderbone, the scoring ones, are like take enemy terrain and things, and that's easy to do when you've got a fast army. So it helps them a little bit, but I'm not sure for me. It feels a bit 50-50 still.
So Tzeentch is also about you essentially playing your deck how you want to play it. So the twist cards in the hero phase, after you've drawn your 3 at the start of the battle round, you get to look at the top 3, and then you can arrange them. You can either put them back on the top, or you can put them on the bottom. So you can potentially use abilities and then put them back, and you can kind of manipulate your deck. I think the play for this one is to potentially keep all your easy scoring ones. I use easy in quotations because it depends, but sort of like be on dioceses, maybe hold ground, kind of the ones that you just sort of can do without much interaction with your opponent. Kind of put them to the bottom and filter them through using the abilities. So the underdog for the first couple rounds, and then you go, right, I've got 3 cards, I'm doing 3 cards, and I'm doing 3 cards. So you end really strong.
Yeah, because you kind of want to be maybe the underdog to get that -1 to rend. I always think of when I use my Nurgle, if I'm battle round 2, I get the cards which are like take without warning, long battlefield edge, and be in enemy territory, and I go, great, one of my units coming down can literally school all 3 of them. I wonder whether you almost do that and you put cards like that near the back, and you put the card for bringing the unit back, and you go, well, yes, I've got to spend 1, but then at least I'm definitely scoring these 2. Because it literally doesn't matter what state the board's in. As long as you've lost a unit, you guaranteed kind of your points there.
That is ideal.
It is, but you can make ideal.
So you do get to do it every hero phase. So we did look at it that if you don't draw it battle round 1 and then it's in your top 3, you can have it again if you play it correctly by the start of battle round 3. So that's sort of your ideal world. You've not got to plan for your next battle round, you've got to plan for the battle round after that. I think if someone really plays with this a lot and kind of understands the flow and understands what they can do, could probably do really, really well with this. I don't think it's a beginner-friendly army at all.
I don't think it is, no. I was just thinking, with the Zangor and Lighten unit that come in from the second battle round, do you think there's a world where you hold them back to the third? And then, like you say, you've cycled your cards, so you literally know which 3 cards you've got coming up then. Is there a world you do that? I know it's risky because you really want more units down as soon as you can, but if you're in like a bit of a nothing combats with your Zangor and your other units are right at the back shooting, maybe you go, wait for them to come out to me a bit more and then pop them behind, score points, charge the general at the back.
Yeah, you could do that. That's definitely a strategy.
I've never done it, but I just wonder whether that is a plan this army might benefit from, because it is all about planning, isn't it?
Oh, yes, it's all about picking your destiny. I'm pretty sure all of the abilities are like predicting the future, cheating destiny, fated arrival. All very thematic, which I also quite like about Tzeentch. You always hear a lot of people go on about how the Flesh Eaters are very thematic with all the stuff they do. I think Tzeentch also does that very well.
Yes.
Which I think they've done very well in this, if you actually read some of the abilities.
Now, I would say, as someone who's used the old Tzeentch one, the thing I was absolutely most happy about is the fact that Zangors are actually decent.
In the game, they did 12 damage through at Rend 1. And then 13 damage through at round 1. Now, granted that both combats were a full unit. Obviously, they're a little paper thin. 2 health and a 5-up save. Potentially ignoring a rend. I suppose the only problem is with you needing to be the underdog, you don't get that battle round 1.
No.
It'd have been nice if maybe Tzeentch allowed you to be the underdog.
The underdog, yeah.
Yeah. That would maybe have been a nice little... But maybe that would have made them a little bit too strong.
Does it?
I don't think it does.
All you were gaining was that rend one, like you say, first battle round, which you just
potentially might not pick anyway.
Yeah, you can't get. So, no, I wouldn't have thought that would have made them broken. But yeah, that was the first thing that I saw. I went, wow, they've got more attacks and they have rend. Brilliant. So happy. And you've got ways of buffing their attacks that they're hitting on.
You can make them 30 attacks, hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s. obviously rend 1, damage 1.
Really.
Outside of any like cards that you can just put on top. If you can make them, some twists can make them damage 2 on a charge. But again, we're talking like
Ideal.
Which is what I normally like to do with these things. But I mean, even without all the buffs, they should be pretty good.
That's why we have a whole podcast episode on your ideal maximum damage. It does look like a good army that you do have combat, shooting, magic, movement. You've kind of got a bit of everything. Sometimes that cannot be good because then you're not really good at one thing.
I don't think they've got board presence or control. The only unit you want in combat is the Zangors. You don't want your general in combat because he's squishy. And as I found out, does not do a lot in damage. He potentially can, but he's probably not going to. Spoilers for the game, he lost to a wizard in combat.
Bad wizard.
A bad wizard.
But then it's a wizard with D3 damage. You just,
that's the problem.
Anything can die to something with D3 damage that just rolls better than it should.
Yeah.
I mean, his magic spell is crazy.
Yes.
Which is cast on a 7, but you could choose his ability for it to be on a 6. Is you get to choose an enemy unit. So each time that unit rolls a combat attack hit of a 1, it takes 1 mortal damage. And going straight to kind of your ultimate, a unit of clan rats, of stabbers, of something that's got 1 health and 10 models that's rolling 20 dice. Even on average, it should roll, like 3, 4?
3.5.
So that's a third of that unit killing itself. Yep. If it rolls really bad and rolls loads of 1s, that could almost pretty much wipe that unit.
Yeah. And then there's something like that, they're probably not doing anything to you. And then nothing's particularly brilliant in combat, but the Enlightened should wipe that squad. Obviously the Zangor, as long as a lot of them aren't dead, should do a fair bit of damage. So yeah, it's got a lot of tricks. I just think it could be good, but I think you've got to play it a lot. Or the cards could just fall right for you.
Which you can manipulate them so they fall right for you. You know, that's the thing, is this is probably the best army for planning your whole game on what you know the cards are going to be.
Yeah. If you're a smarter player and you kept track of it really well.
I think you'd have to.
Yeah.
Even if you were writing it down and just being like, this is the order, this is what's coming up this third battle round.
Yeah.
I think that would benefit you and make you have games that could take on really top competitive armies.
But then on the flip side, how often have you gone, well, I should cash that one, and then the thing goes into combat with something and then you just whiff and you go,
yeah,
actually that screwed me for like these cards.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you've gone, well, I've either got to discard these cards because I need that card battle round 2. Suppose if you look at it and things are going a bit sour, depending on the cards, you might go, well, I'm not scoring it now because I failed that charge. I'll use them. So at the very least, they go to the bottom of my deck. And then if I can cycle through them again, potentially I might use them. I think you've got to get a real feel for this army and what they can do to be able to use it effectively. And I think a newer player is going to really struggle with that.
Probably a final note on Tzeentch. A spoiler for when we do a proper review. They are not at all fun to build and paint. Again, on that count, wouldn't say this is a good beginner army at all, because they just are such a pain.
They do look really fiddly.
And just so fine a detail and so much little bits that I try and do, and then I look and go, oh, it just looks so messy and horrible. So wouldn't recommend it for that. Good painter, probably you could make them look amazing, but...
Moving on to the Lumineth Realm Lords. Another one that kind of has a confusing battle trait. Again, you only get the 4 units.
But you do get reinforcements.
You do get the reinforcements. Their block of 10's reinforced, which is nice.
And you get all of them from the start.
Yeah.
That was kind of like my first thing I saw. I was like, oh, Tzeentch, you only get 3 at the start, 4 after the second. This, you get all of them and 1 reinforced unit, so you have a throwaway unit. So
their whole battle trait is they get to pick a board edge, and they have loads of abilities based around if you're close to that board edge or your opponent's close to that board edge. And then every time you use that ability, it rotates clockwise. You get different abilities based on that. Some of them are quite nice, like +1 hits to your attacks if you're closer Like, they've got one that in the move phase it has to move closer to the board edge. I think that's a very good one.
It is a once per battle, but literally, if you put that on their scary cavalry unit that's going to come for you, if they put the Lee Ward behind them, and you're like, well, great. First turn, you're not moving that unit.
Yeah. And then potentially, if they've set up behind that, it means nothing's moving out, nothing else is moving behind it, unless it's got fly, or it can potentially move. And that might be one that's really good for catching players that don't understand this army out.
Yeah.
That'd be a brilliant one. Like you say, someone sets something up in front. Doesn't even necessarily need to be a big block. If it's just big enough to make movement awkward.
Yeah.
It happens in the hero phase, so if they don't choose to give it you, you can still do it in their turn, because it is the enemy hero phase, which would give you a whole free turn of shooting at them. Does look like a shooting army. The combat unit could potentially be very good in combat, but it kind of needs to be charged to get that rend.
Yeah. And it's one health unit, you kill a few, it's not doing much. It kind of relies on them being charged. They've got an ability to give strike last, so if you charge them, they get that off. They get to attack first. Because it's crit mortals, 20 dice, you could do a bit. And they got one rend if they're charged.
Then if you do your abilities correctly, you're potentially giving them +1 to hit. It seems like maybe a very castle-y army.
Which it is in the main game, so that does sound right.
But I don't know whether or not castles work in Spearhead.
I don't think it does. Unless you're a super killy one.
If you can lock it in combat early, it's probably going to really struggle, because if you're in combat, the cavalry unit's just going to crumple. It's got a lot of health. It's got 15 health on a 4-up save, which isn't terrible. Also, the Hurricane Spirit of the Wind moves 18.
That is the most movement I think I've seen in Spearhead. That is, I think we measured it. That can do the whole width of the board.
Yeah, with the size of its base.
With the size of its base.
So it can get around really easily. Obviously, it's got 15-inch shooting as well, so you're going to struggle to sort of keep it from shooting anything.
Yep.
And it's pretty decent in shooting. Not a lot of dice, which can always go badly. But it's 2s to hit, 3s to wound, rend 2, damage 2. So you potentially get the first turn, kind of swing that round to the side, snipe a backline wizard, which is very doable, outside of some bad rolling. Yeah. Then in their turn go, right, that unit in the front can't move. Sit behind that one unit that can't come towards you. Suppose they could still charge, though. So you'd have to be careful for that.
Make sure you're not anywhere near a charge distance, yeah. But the range of this shooting's 15. So you could stay outside of 12.
I think this army, maybe not necessarily beginner-friendly. Less so than Tzeentch.
I just think because of the whole Lee Wards with the edges, you really need to have thought multiple steps ahead.
Yes.
Multiple battle rounds probably ahead. And really planned everything. There's no point going, oh, I've got this really good ability. My units are just the wrong side of the one they're fighting to get the benefit.
Yeah.
Oh, I can teleport this unit. Yeah, but the thing's at the side where everything is, and I don't want them there. I want them teleported away so they can shoot. I just see a lot of, I've got this really good ability, but if you've not thought it out ahead, you're going to end up being wasting it, basically.
I mean, they do have the movement phase one is any movement phase, and it's basically you can move one of your units D6. They have to move closer to the layer ward. You could potentially go, well, I need that to be on that side. I'll do it, and then I just won't move. I'll roll the dice, can move. You don't have to. It might benefit you to move 6 inches or 3 inches. Or you just go, I'm moving the board in preparation. You've sort of got a couple, potentially a throwaway ability that's sort of like, if it's useful to you, it's useful to you. And you could potentially teleport them. That's another ride, the Hurricane ability. You've got a couple abilities that you can kind of do to manipulate the board edge. But like you say, I could also see it in the one where you go, they got a 12-inch charge. This is in combat now and I don't want it and I need to use an ability to get them away. But I need the board edge there. What do I do? I think you got a lot of planning to get this right. Or you go first, set up your big block of 20 in the middle with strike first and crit mortals. Your shooting does quite well. You quite a bit of damage with them potentially. Nothing crazy, but you should be able to do a fair bit. They get a fair few dice. You chip enough down that when they go into your big block of 20, you manage to get your +1 to hits off. I mean, realistically, even if you can just plan that, and you just keep constantly getting +1 to hits to stuff.
Yeah.
It's a good ability.
That's a bit like how I view Cruel Boys with their dirty tricks, is because each time you do it, the dice you need is higher. You do end up going, this is my priority one. I'll not do the rest, and I'll just make sure that every time I need that ability, it's on the lowest roll I can. With this, you're like, that is say, plus to hits is my priority, so every time I'm going to make sure that I use it and my unit piles round, so now the next combat I'm the same, and I pile round, and you kind of really plan that ahead. If the other abilities you just think aren't how I'm going to play the army.
Yeah. Definitely don't think this is a top tier army.
Again, we've not played this yet,
Not
so
played
I think sometimes you don't know until you play it, but I just think lack of board presence.
Yeah.
And you could just get... And you got good saves, but you could just get caught up in combat, so you're not doing your shooting.
Yeah.
Your movement's great, but if
you're in combat, you move. Suppose your general has got a very nice ability that casts on a 6 in the hero phase. He can allow something to retreat and shoot and charge without taking mortals, which brilliant for this army. Obviously, it's on a 6-up, not guaranteed it. That means the thing you want out of combat shooting is still in combat for another turn, at least. Potentially your opponents, you're fighting in your turn, they're fighting in their turn. You're not doing much to them. Depending on what you're in combat with, they might kill another horse or two.
Plus, your general there's got 5 health with a 5-up save.
Yeah.
You know, he could have just been caught and killed, and that ability is now wasted. So
it's wholly within 12.
Yeah, because it's not like he can just run away and be in a corner away. He's got to be near the unit that you want that's in combat, that you want retreating.
Yeah, you've got to be very careful with him.
Yeah.
Because he's probably even less of a combat wizard than the Tzeentch one.
He is not a combat wizard at all. Not even his cloud attacks. I was hoping his cloud would get some fangs in the cloud there somewhere.
Yeah, but it'd have been like 5 attacks at 5 and 5s and no rend 1 damage.
What are you about the fangs of the discs are good?
Yeah, but what's the cloud going to do?
Rain on him. This is anything like England right now, just rain on them.
Rain on them. I'm excited for both of them because they're doing something that I like in the fact of these armies are completely different from every other army. They do something that most other armies don't do, and it's interesting. Probably not the best spearheads in the world.
But they can't all be, can they? You can't bring out...
Every spearhead can't be the new best spearhead, because then what would be the point?
You just don't want a spearhead that is terrible, which I don't think either of these are. And like you say, you will play this army completely different to how you'll play pretty much every other army, which is brilliant.
For someone like us who's played a lot of spearheads, you kind of go, oh, it's this spearhead, it does this. You've got literally, as someone who's just finished playing with the slaves, it's almost exactly the same as the Inastra one. Except from your horses come in the second round instead of Yanastra and the Annihilators. It's pretty much the only difference. And the chariot's slightly worse in slaves.
These are completely different, and not just completely different to their own previous spearheads.
Yep.
Which is really, really nice as well. So you could do a competition when you're like, I brought both of these, and you'll have completely different games with each. I mean, chances are you'll just lose the first one with the first ones. Yeah. At least it feels like they're probably better than definitely better than the Tzeentch first one.
They're completely different. In the Tzeentch one, it's got brilliant board control that goes away pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And this one, you've got no board control. You start the board with one combat unit that isn't particularly tanky. I think that's its main one. I don't know why you don't start with all 4 things on the board. I don't think it'd have been that broken, because realistically, his Angors move 6, but that still requires them to get at the minimum a 6-inch charge off. So there's a good chance that they're not getting in combat, even if your opponent sets up badly. Because you've got no pluses to charge. You're pretty much guaranteed to get the discs in because they move like 14 and they can be 3 away of anything. But then if you do that and they're the only things in combat, then the whole army just swarms them and kills them the following turn. And yeah, I think with the Lumineth, they rely a lot on not being in combat, which they've got things to do that, and shooting a lot. And the shooting isn't bad, but against a good save army, I think they're going to struggle.
Yeah, what you get in there? 15 dice, 3s and 4s, 1 rend, 1 damage. At a 12-inch range, unfortunately, so having to get up the board a bit.
Obviously, they got the unit that could just potentially pop off, and you roll slightly above average, you're getting 5 crit mortals through. Brilliant.
I mean, I'm happy to see another monster in the game.
Yeah.
It's good to see another variation model that makes the Spearhead look cool, because you've got your tiny little infantry ones, but you've also got this big monster, you've got your hero, you've got your cavalry, you've kind of got a lovely bit of everything.
I was a little upset that it doesn't have like +1 rend to monsters. That'd have been, because it has that in the main game. I mean, I'm guessing Sylvaneth and Giants players are probably glad not to see that. But it doesn't matter anyway, because it's 2 rend normally. It had just made it 3 rend against monsters, which probably Sylvaneth still gets a save.
Yep.
Giants wouldn't anyway.
The monster in
Carnosaur does.
Bone Reapers would get a 6-up save. Yeah, Carnosaur would have a 6-up save.
Yeah. So it meant that they wouldn't, which they probably wouldn't have been super happy about. But you just get it in combat, and then it's not doing a great deal. Because then it's got no rend.
So overall, really happy with the fact that the rules are so different, and these are 2 brand new Spearheads. As I've said, we've played the Tzeentch against, as our tradition, against the newer Nurgle one. And I think it'll have a more competitive game, hopefully, against the Lumineth. So that should be, hopefully, as soon as we can get those models and get playing, we'll get the battle report up.
It'll just be a game of shenanigans.
Yeah.
I think these 2 armies have great potential of being really fun.
Yeah.
Unless you get very unlucky.
I worry that you've just not got enough models on the board, that you lose a few. Those are non-fun games. When every card you draw, you're like, have 2 units there, and you're like, well, that's my whole army is 2 units now.
I've got 2
and
left.
They're in combat, and they can't. So that's the only worry that I always have about low unit count armies. But that won't be every game.
No. They'll really struggle against alpha pin armies in this, which thankfully isn't massive in Spearhead. But yeah, that's our initial thoughts. Obviously, we could be completely wrong, and they could be the best armies in the game, because all the abilities are really broken and easy to use. I'm guessing probably going to end up middle of the pack.
I would say they feel like upper end of the new ones.
Yes.
But overall, if you compare it with every single Spearhead, probably around middle. But it feels like for the newer ones, this does feel like they should do quite well. Not top, but definitely not near the bottom.
Yeah, but we'll see. Time will tell. I'm really happy with them.
Yeah, me too. So thank you for listening to our bonus pod. We'll be back in our normal one at the weekend. If you've got any questions for us, Spearhead or Age of Sigmar related, then you can send us an email at alloutageofsigmar@gmail.com, and we will try and include that onto the next podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, and enjoy your Destiny and what's Lumineth's whole thing?
Tricksy elves. I'm pretty sure on the website when it came out, it literally insults Lumineth players on like Warhammer Community.
I mean, the whole thing of that Spearhead is they're on the wind, so your Destiny and wind.
Pocahontas.
Yeah, that works. That actually works quite well.
You should name this one the Pocahontas podcast.